For almost 4 decades, James Hetfield kept his feelings about former bandmate Dave Mustaine close to the chest. He stuck to the high road, brushing off questions with lines like, "That's ancient history," or "It's water under the bridge." But in a surprising recent interview, the Metallica frontman finally opened up, and in doing so, stirred a storm throughout the music world. What was meant to be a routine interview about Metallica's latest tour quickly turned into a moment of reckoning. When asked about the band's evolution over the years, Hetfield's tone shifted. "I've been silent long enough," he said, visibly tense. "Every book, every interview, Dave paints himself as the victim. Meanwhile, I've kept my mouth shut. I'm done with that." The interviewer, clearly caught off guard, tried steering the conversation back to safer ground, but Hetfield wasn't having it. After decades of biting his tongue, his frustration finally surfaced. He explained that people think they understand what happened back in 1983, but most only know Dave's version of the story. According to Hetfield, the reality was far more complex and painful than anyone outside the band realized. He then launched into a candid, unfiltered account of those early years, one that challenged many of Mustaine's long-standing claims and lit up the internet within hours of its release. Back in 1981, Metallica's roots were just starting to form in Los Angeles. Lars Ulrich, an eager Danish drummer, had posted an ad seeking other musicians. A young Hetfield, just 18 at the time, responded. Together, they started laying the groundwork for a new sound that would eventually become thrash metal. Not long after, Dave Mustaine joined the band. With his fierce playing style and technical skill, he helped shape Metallica's aggressive early sound. For a time, the chemistry was undeniable. They released the demo No Life Till Leather, moved to San Francisco, and started building a loyal following. But behind the scenes, tensions were growing. Dave was an amazing guitar player, Hetfield recalled, but sometimes he was too much for his own good. The drinking, the fights, it wasn't just once or twice, it was constant. As young men trying to keep a band together, Hetfield said it became impossible to manage the chaos. The breaking point came in April 1983, just before the band was set to record their debut album, Kill 'Em All. Mustaine was fired and replaced with Kirk Hammett. For years, the story has been that Dave was suddenly dropped and sent back to California. Hetfield now says it wasn't that simple. They had tried to make it work, tried talking things through, but the fights, sometimes even with fans, became too frequent. The final straw was a physical altercation and damage to a bandmate's equipment. It wasn't one moment, it was a build-up. Songwriting credits have remained one of the most heated points of contention. Mustaine has long claimed he contributed heavily to several early tracks without receiving full recognition. Hetfield acknowledged that Dave did contribute riffs and early versions of songs like The Four Horsemen, Jump in the Fire, and Metal Militia, but he pushed back on the idea that Mustaine's original versions were fully formed songs. "A riff isn't a song," Hetfield said plainly. He emphasized how much those tracks evolved after Dave left, both musically and lyrically. Producers and band insiders have backed up this perspective, noting that the final versions on Kill 'Em All were significantly different from the early demos. Despite the fallout, Hetfield did give credit where it was due. He acknowledged that Mustaine built something special with Megadeth, particularly albums like Peace Cells and Rust in Peace, which are now considered classics. But what still frustrates Hetfield is Dave's apparent inability to appreciate his own accomplishments without dragging Metallica into the conversation. "At some point, you've got to stop defining yourself by what you lost," Hetfield said. "Megadeth isn't great because it's not Metallica. It's great because Dave created something powerful. Their rivalry didn't just shape their own bands, it helped shape the entire thrash metal scene." When Metallica dropped Master of Puppets, Megadeth answered with Peace Cells. When Megadeth released Rust in Peace, Metallica fired back with the Black Album. That competition raised the bar for both bands and forced them to keep evolving. While Metallica embraced a broader, more commercial sound that filled stadiums, Megadeth held fast to technical precision and political edge, earning them a fiercely loyal fanbase among metal purists. Beyond the music, Hetfield spoke about the emotional toll this feud has taken on both men. "People think it's just about business or music, but it's personal," he said. They were friends before the fame, two young dreamers with nothing but their instruments and ambition. While James lived that dream, Dave's path took a different turn. And every time Dave revisited the past in interviews, taking jabs at James, Lars, or Kirk, it reopened old wounds. Hetfield admitted that it hurt more than he ever let on. Over the years, there were quiet attempts to reconnect after Dave's cancer diagnosis during his sobriety journey, but they never stuck. One minute we'd be talking, then he'd give another interview bashing us, and it was like starting over, Hetfield said. Others close to the scene have long hoped for reconciliation. Some, like former Slayer guitarist Kerry King, believe there's more that unites them than divides them. Both men battled addiction. Both survived. Both built careers that helped shape a genre. But the past is heavy, and neither seems ready to fully let go of it. Fans have had mixed reactions to Hetfield's sudden honesty. Some see it as long overdue. Others worry that reopening old wounds might undo the healing that seemed to take place during the Big Four concerts a decade ago. Online, hashtags like Siddish Team Hetfield and Siddi Team Mustaine popped up within hours. Older fans debated the details of events that happened more than 40 years ago. Younger ones were stunned to learn how deep the hurt still ran. Music industry veterans say this kind of conflict was sadly common in the early days of metal. Young bands often made informal agreements about writing and royalties, never imagining how valuable their songs would become. There were no contracts, no lawyers, just handshakes and trust. As the money started coming in, so did the lawsuits and resentments. So why did Hetfield finally speak now? Those close to him believe it's about personal change. His 2019 rehab stint, the end of his marriage, the isolation of the pandemic. They all contributed to a shift. Maybe he's trying to lay down old burdens. Meanwhile, Mustaine has been increasingly vocal in the press, often bringing up Metallica during Megadeth's 40th anniversary promotions. That too may have pushed Hetfield over the edge. James isn't the type to play media games, said one fellow musician. If he said it, it's because he meant it. Dave responded quickly, posting online that he stands by everything he said over the years. He also noted that Metallica had already hired Kirk Hammett before firing him, something Hetfield didn't mention. And while Dave admitted they were all young and reckless, he refused to let Hetfield downplay his contributions. "I've congratulated them over and over," he said, "but I won't let them rewrite the past." Despite the strong words, both men avoided crossing into full-blown personal attacks. Each still showed respect for the other's talent. As one veteran drummer put it, they're not tearing down each other's legacies. They're just telling the truth as they see it. The possibility of another Big Four tour seems unlikely now, but some still hold out hope that time and shared experience might bring the two men back to some kind of peace. After all, they've both survived more than most. They've built empires out of broken beginnings, and while the past still echoes loudly, many fans dream of a future where these two giants can look each other in the eye, not as rivals, but as men who changed music history together. Maybe the silence between them speaks louder than the noise.